Okay, now it is time for me to introduce the speaker as soon as we get the camera pointed in the right direction. It's hard to do two things at once, isn't it, Jim? Three things at once. Okay. Drake Pearson is our speaker today. And Drake is going to talk to us about learning to swim in a sea of technology. And I was real excited about this program because I told him we've had trouble with the technology in this meeting. We've had trouble with our slides. We've had trouble with our sound. And I'm thinking he's going to fix everything. But Drake's the founder and CEO of Advanced Education, an Orlando-based company with a vision to create the next generation of geniuses who will solve some of the world's biggest problems, such as education and world hunger. Drake's always been passionate about education and helping children thrive. Prior to starting Advanced Education, he worked with hundreds of students from around the United States and abroad, teaching them about this amazing country and supporting them to be prepared for the future. So please help me welcome Drake Pearson.
Thank you, David. So have you ever had this experience where you're talking with your spouse, your friend, you're talking about something you want to buy, a restaurant you'd like to go see, or eat at, or a movie you'd like to go see, and then all of a sudden the next day, you're getting an ad for that on your phone. You've had that experience, right? Now, some people say that happens because, well, the phone is listening in on you. Some people say it happens because your phone has gotten so sophisticated with suggesting things to you, you're not even aware of when it's doing it, and it's suggesting it at the perfect time, right when you are ready to buy, right? Either way, that is some sophisticated technology, right? Let's go to the next one. You guys remember dial-up, right? The phone, you'd get on the internet and it'd start making this noise, right? Well, when that happened, when that started, people started getting internet in their homes. If you wanted to watch a movie and somebody called or somebody picked up the phone, that ruined movie night. It would take hours for that movie to load, right? But that really changed the world. People getting internet in their homes. Today, we have even more advanced technology where we've got iPhones. How many of y'all have an iPhone or a smartphone by show of hands? Everyone in the room, everyone, right? iPhone has really changed the world, had a huge impact. Now, if you think that the internet has made an impact in the world and the iPhone has made an impact in the world, they're saying right now, this is the iPhone moment for AI. We are seeing it unfold right in front of our eyes. There's going to be a huge shift in how we conduct ourselves throughout the day. Think about how convenient it is to have your iPhone on you all the time. That's probably the biggest technology change that we've had in recent decades, right? You use it even more than your refrigerator. It's on you all the time. We're about to see the same thing take place with AI. So for those of you who don't know, this is author Jordan Peterson talking about his interaction with AI, with a certain AI called ChatGPT, right? And he's talking about how he was able to go onto this AI and use it really quickly. Now, he's written a few books. He's going to talk about his experience with writing this book.
I asked it, this is what I asked it to do. I said, write me an essay that's a 13th rule for Beyond Order, written in a style that combines the King James Bible with the Tao Te Ching. That's pretty difficult to pull off, you know? Any one of those things is hard. The intersection of all three, that's impossible. Well, it wrote it in about 3 seconds, 4 pages long, and it isn't obvious to me, for better or worse, that I would be able to tell that I didn't write it. I also had it write an essay on the intersection between the Taoist version of ethical morality and the ethics that are outlined in the Sermon on the Mount, which it just nailed, got that dead right. Brilliant. Again, it took it about 3 seconds. But a university professor did this. He thought, oh, that's interesting. Any student will be able to write any essay on any topic with ChatGPT. Someone gave it an SAT, by the way, and it scored about as well as the average student in a well-functioning public university. So that's how smart it is. So that's basically an IQ test. He said, right.
So let me just mute that. Okay. So what he's saying is, I don't know if you caught it in the beginning. He said he asked this AI to write him another chapter for his book in the style of the Tao Te Ching and the King James version of the Bible. And it wrote 4 pages for him in about 4 seconds. And he wasn't able to discern that he didn't write it himself. It was that good, right? Now, not only can this thing write essays, it can also write a marketing piece for you. If you were to say, write me a letter to my customers, thanking them for their business and giving them a discount on the next product or service or whatever, it could do that for you in a matter of seconds, right? But it can also write code as well. This is just one of the really cool things that AI is able to do right now. Another really cool thing, so that's text to speech, right? Another cool thing that it's able to do right now is also text to images. So if you were to hire a graphic designer, but you wanted a few different visual images of what you could look at, instead of going to a graphic designer and saying, hey, I'm looking for this, and then they give you one idea and you come back and say, no, I don't really like that. You can literally just go onto this AI, it's called Midjourney. You can type in exactly what you're looking for. You could say you want it in the style of Picasso or in the style of Monet or whatever, whoever your favorite artist is, and it'll give you 4 different versions right then and there in a matter of seconds. You can go ahead and hit play, and I'm just going to talk over it. It'll give you many different options here.
You can actually DM the Midjourney bot / imagine with a description of your image. Hit send, and the AI will start producing your image. Then we get our 4 final results, and we can enhance one of the images to get a larger image size.
He pulls up the one he likes, and then you can scroll through and see what other options that people have picked out for themselves as of things that they're looking for as well. So not only can it do text to speech, but it can also do text to images as well. Let's go to the next one.
You can actually DM the Midjourney bot / imagine with a description of your image. Hit send, and the AI will start producing your image. Then we
Perfect. So this was a Facebook post that I saw. I'll just read to you the first paragraph here. Introducing the ultimate adventure for your little ones, preschool skydiving classes. Watch your child's confidence soar as they take the leap and experience the thrill of free falling with the safety of an expert instructor. Pretty funny, right? Now, I posted this. I saw this on Facebook. I posted it on my own Facebook. And within about 10 minutes, I got 20 comments saying, is this real? Oh my gosh, look at those images, right? They look real. This was all generated, even the text itself, by AI, right? I saw another image that was very similar to this, except for it had images of children with animals, and it was asking for donations to a wildlife foundation. But those images weren't actually real. And it was very interesting to me. Let's go to the next one. Oh, these 4 women, do you know these 4 women? They have made significant contributions to AI. This is on the top right, that is Sandra. On the left, that's her sister, Sophia. Below that is Cassandra. And on the bottom right, Dr. Kim. And the significant contribution that they made to AI is that they were all generated by AI. I went onto a website called This Person Does Not Exist. I took the first image, and that's the one on the right. Then I clicked refresh, I got the next image. I clicked refresh again. You can keep clicking refresh all day long, and you will get a brand new person that does not actually exist, generated completely by AI. Now, I had someone at the last Rotary Club that I went to, they said, why would you want to do that, right? Well, companies are using this technology right now to create models to model their products. And so instead of going through a modeling agency, asking for a specific model of a certain height or certain age or certain race or whatever, you can literally just make all that stuff up in AI, and it'll give you the perfect model for your product, for your clothes, whatever it is that you want to showcase, right? And I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this, but just the other day, about 2 days ago, there was a song that was put out on YouTube, and it was said to be by famous artist Drake, not me, the other guy, right? But it was wildly popular. This song got about 8 million, 9 million views in under 24 hours, and it was completely generated by AI, right? Let's go to the next slide. So we've got text to speech, we've got text to image, and now text to video. Go ahead.
Not too long ago, Runway pushed the boundaries of generative AI with Gen 1. a video-to-video model that allows you to use words and images to generate new videos out of existing ones. In the weeks since launching, the model has constantly gotten better. Better temporal consistency, better fidelity, better results. And as more and more people gained access, we unlocked entirely new use cases and displays of creativity. And today, we're excited to announce our biggest unlock yet: text to video with Gen 2. Now you can generate a video with nothing but words. No driving video, no input image. Gen 2 represents yet another major research milestone and another monumental step forward for generative AI. With Gen 2, anyone, anywhere can suddenly realize entire worlds, animations, stories, anything you can imagine. Gen 2.
So what that means now is entertainment entirely can be done by AI, and it's doing a good job too. This is really exciting, but also a little bit scary at the same time too, because that means that, I don't know if you've heard about this, but you should be aware of it. They can take your voice with just 3 seconds of your actual voice. They can mimic it using AI and have it say whatever it is that they want it to say, right? So if you get a funny phone call from one of your loved ones or anything like that, asking for their social or your social, or to wire them some money really quick, you should have some either code words or some things that you and only they know before you go on with that conversation, right? But, sorry, I was gonna hit it here. This is a chart that was put out after the latest iteration of GPT-4. And this chart is just showing all the cool things that GPT can do and the implications for those who are in the workforce. Right. So this is here on the far right, on the bottom, you'll see it says master's degree on the left, and on the far right, this number 75.92. A little bit above that is bachelor's degree and 84. This is showing the risk to exposure, meaning how much one of these AIs can do your job. And what they're showing is that those who have a higher education are actually at more risk of being exposed to AI than those with a lower education, because generally those people are doing more labor-intensive jobs right now, right? Now, that's a little bit scary, but does that mean that, oh, we should stop educating altogether? Well, of course not, right? Those who stand to get the most benefit from AI are the ones who know how to use the tool, right? Especially business owners. Business owners are the ones who are actually getting the most benefit, because for them, they're not necessarily being replaced themselves. They're replacing some labor on their teams, right? So we need to be highly educated in order to actually gain benefit from the AI. But the problem is, as shown here, this is what's called the nation's report card. And this is showing just over from 2019 to 2022, how scores have dropped in virtually every category when it comes to reading and math, except for one, and that's in the 90th percentile for 4th grade readers. That's the only category where there was not a significant decrease. There was no change there. But every other category was a significant decrease, meaning that there's a sharp trend of readers and just children in general, their education levels going down. Now, I know this is from 2019, comparing 2019 to 2022. And a good question that gets brought up is, well, wouldn't that have been because of the pandemic and COVID, right? And that is true. However, this trend was already well on its way since before 2019. There was an article that was put out that said, sound the alarm, national reading emergency at the end of 2019, before the pandemic had even started, right? This is showing a chart that shows Florida has the nation's worst learning rate. Now, the way that they calculated this was they said, we're looking at those who are in the top for 4th grade reading scores and math scores, et cetera, and then seeing where do they end up for 8th grade, right? typically what you would expect is that if you're scoring high for 4th grade, you should be scoring high for 8th grade too. The learning should continue. However, in Florida, what we see is that we typically score very high, sometimes 1st, 2nd, or 3rd for 4th grade reading scores. But then when it comes to 8th grade reading scores, we can score as low as 25 or 30th compared to all the other states, right? And then this is another article. I'm just going to read to you the fine print here. It says, the author writes, the 8th grade NAEP, which is the nation's report card, and learning rate failures are evidence that we've wasted a generation of human potential and severely damaged Florida's teaching profession. Will anyone follow the data where it leads? Will anyone ask, should our kids peak at age 9 and decline inexorably from there? This is a really potent question, right? Because what we're showing is we're on track all the way up to 4th grade. And then all of a sudden we fall off a cliff, which has strong implications for our society.
Right now in the school system, we've got a silent epidemic going on right now because, and it was exacerbated by the pandemic because it's amazing how many people in America right now, I just had a woman on recently that works nationally with the education programs. And she says 130 million Americans can't read at the most basic level. And I said, define basic level for me. And she said, basic level is they can't read a prescription label. They can't read a simple story to their children at bedtime.
130 million.
130 million.
So that's more than a third of the whole country.
Can't read a simple story to their children.
I want to show you this video. This is a 4-year-old reading a 5th grade level book. Go ahead.
The man seemed startled. Did you speak to me? Yes. Why you smile for you? He walked down inside him. The next day, when she saw him, Paulina called out, "It's not as lovely as yesterday, but it's still rather nice. Oh, don't you think? Hope." The man grunted and walked quickly on his way. But the third time that Paulina greeted him, she stopped short. He stopped short. "Listen here, child. Who are you? And why do you speak to me every day?"
At a 5th grade level. But right now in the state of Florida, 51% of kindergartners do not know their letters and numbers. That's 5 years old. 51% in the state of Florida. That is a big problem that's going to make itself known in just a few short years, 15 years, right? We really need to change the tide on this. Here's the next video. Go ahead.
Gonna see if Max could do it, and we were gonna and he said it was okay to make a video. Is it okay, Max?
Yeah.
Can I make a video?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for the equation? It is 15x plus 5 equals 4. 15x plus 5 equals 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you got?
The answer is negative 1 over 15.
So x equals negative 1 over 15? Okay.
So I ask a lot of adults this question, and you'd be surprised, or maybe you won't. The vast majority cannot do it. They will sit there for a minute and they'll go, "Can I get some pen and paper?" And then even after the pen and paper, they'll do another 3 minutes and they go, "Okay, I give in," right? We have that child is 6 years old and able to do that in his head, right? I'm sharing this with you because we have a massive opportunity. If we don't, what's going to happen is our children and the next generations will be entertained by AI, but they won't be able to use that for anything constructive. And this is happening in our own backyard. We're not talking about in a far off land where, they've got low literacy rates. That's happening here in America. And so if you like some of the things that I share, or you have some questions, I'm going to be staying around to chat after this. I also really enjoy giving this speech. So if you have a church or a small group that you want this presented to as well, then please let me know. We can connect and we can go further with that. Or if you know anyone who has children or grandchildren who they want their children to be ahead of this curve, please reach out and let's do that. And also, if you know anyone who wants to make a difference with us in education, who wants to make a positive impact and really change the course of where we're headed, then please connect us. This is great for anyone who's passionate about education, anyone who has kids or grandkids, or anyone who is retired and has plenty of time on their hands. Thank you. Yes, Bill.
Thank you for a great positive presentation, but is the government aware of all the abuses that can come out of this? One example is there's been a long time scam that's been going on, but they call an elderly person, your grandfather's, or I'm your grandson or granddaughter, I'm in jail, I need some money, so on and so forth. And you have to ask them, well, you didn't recognize the voice, but AI now is now replicating the voice. What is going to be done about this? Anything? Is anybody aware of this?
Yes, so there are a lot of people aware of this. You guys have seen, I think it was just last month, there was a bunch of Silicon Valley folks, Elon Musk among one of them, saying, hey, we need to put a pause on this AI, put a pause on how available it is to the public. No one's actually going to do that. And the reason why no one's doing that is because everyone's afraid that if we put a pause on AI, that another country like China or someone like that will get ahead of us. And so we have this challenge here where everyone's afraid that we'll be missing out if we stop. But because of that, they're not putting on any of the brakes or any of the guardrails that need to be observed. And so that is a big dilemma here going on. And unfortunately, nothing is really being done, to your question, nothing's really being done about protecting the public from these sorts of things. And so that's why you have to be aware of it. Yes, Bill.
My question is, if the young people know that if they get a higher education, they're going to lose their job, why would they even strive to learn going forward? Because you say, what's the use of doing it?
Right.
I won't have a job anyway.
Yeah, that's a great question. So remember, those who are actually benefiting from the technology, those who can take advantage of it, are actually the most educated, meaning they're the business owners, right? The business owners, not necessarily that they have a college education, but if you're a business owner, you know, I've got to know what my profit is. I got to know what my losses are. I have to actually make sure this thing works. It's the education of the real world, right? Most people are not actually capable of doing that. Otherwise, they'd be business owners too, right? And so in order to actually give yourself an advantage and be ahead of the curve, you're going to want to have a stronger education. Again, not necessarily going to school or college or any of those things, but being able to process that information effectively. That's what we're talking about.
I have a question, Drake. First of all, great presentation.
Thanks, Rich.
Sunday, 60 Minutes had a thing on AI, and they talked about how it learned how to play soccer by itself. They never taught it. It just learned how to do it. They talked about these things. As you're talking today about the 130 million people that can't read, the first thing that comes to mind for me, but they can still vote.
Yes.
Yeah. The thing I worry about, though, is that we're not doing enough to think about the negative side. As you were listening, I was thinking, I whispered to Denny, think about all the evil things that could be done with this. We're talking about the positive things, but think about the evil things that could be done with this. And the one thing that came up, and I saw it on this thing after 60 Minutes, I don't know if any of you saw 60 Minutes Overtime, but what he said was the one profession that is most risk of being impacted by AI is media.
Yes. Yeah.
But this thing also can create fake news.
Exactly.
So
I don't know if you guys saw circulating around, there was a picture of the Pope wearing this big white bubble jacket, right? He wasn't actually wearing that. That was generated by AI, right? And so you can take an image of literally anyone, like you're saying, the media is going to be the most effective. You can take an image of literally anyone, have them doing whatever it is that you want them doing or wearing whatever it is, and it gets circulated out into the media. And all you say is, oops, sorry, we didn't know, but the damage has already been done, right? And so I wanted to make this presentation as upbeat and positive as possible, because you can hear all the negative stuff all day, right? You can do a quick Google search, or you don't even have to search for it. It's coming to you, right? But yes, there are a lot of negative implications. If you guys want to know more about that, definitely connect with me. I can send you some videos that really goes in depth on those sorts of things. But one of the scary things, like you're saying, is 130 million Americans can't read, but they can vote, right? And when they're looking at that statistic, by the way, they're not even looking at those under the age of 16. So that's 130 million Americans over the age of 16, between the age of 16 and 74. That's basically 54% of Americans, right? So one thing to know about that is, if media can be influenced in that way, and these people are not that educated, essentially who's voting for you is AI.
My question is, AI really is manipulating information on the internet and bringing it to a solution. It's not actually creating knowledge. What's the difference between AI and knowledge creation? There's manipulation and creation.
So AI is good at something, great question. AI is good at something where, for instance, we started with sequencing genes. That started from scientists in a lab. We got maybe, I don't know, a few 100,000. And then we put it to an AI, and the AI came up with millions and millions and millions of gene sequences. AI is really good at, when we've started something, taking it on and going way further, way faster. Like you were saying, teaching itself to play soccer on its own. AI is capable of doing things like this. Like, for instance, in Amazon, they're using AI. You guys have seen Amazon has displaced, what is it, 27,000 workers. These were warehouse workers. These weren't just those who were sitting at a computer. They were able to displace warehouse workers because they got a robot that will do 4 times the efficiency of a person in the warehouse. And they were able to train this robot using AI. So basically, they had a virtual world where the robots would go and do the task 100 million times over, whatever it was, much faster than they would do it in actual real lifetime. And they were able to use that technology to then go, oh, okay, great. Now we can displace all these workers. So AI is really great at doing tasks that we already know how to do and getting them much faster, better than any human can. But as far as starting something, being creative with something, that's where our own knowledge comes in. That's where things that we learn, things that we're educated on, we're able to put those things together in a creative way and then give it to an AI to improve it.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
One thing I would encourage people is to go ahead and use it, but to keep in mind that it is not always correct. The information it gives us is not always correct. You can play with Chat GPT, and you can play with Bard, which is Google's GPT. It is not good at knowing things. Its corpus of knowledge goes up to 2021. And so when you ask it for information, it's often wrong. I did a test where I asked Chat GPT, give me 8 dates about the Beat Generation that happened in August. And so it gave me 8 August dates, and all 8 of them were wrong by anywhere from a month to a year. So it's great for generating things. And I know Maria was talking about how she uses that in her work. It's a generative AI. It creates things, but it doesn't know things. When I ask it a question like that, it generates the answers, not caring whether it's right or not. Another example is you ask it who was president of the United States in 1492, and it will tell you Christopher Columbus. So if you ask it for things, double check it. Google it, look it up in a few sources, confirm it before you publish it, because I almost made that mistake.
And that's a really great point, because what we're seeing is, this is exactly what I was bringing up in the beginning. Students will use technology to give them the answer, but they're not able to check that answer for themselves. They're not able to actually cross-reference or notice when something seems so far off. And so it's just like you'll see a child, they'll put in something into the calculator and they'll say, this is the answer. And you say, well, that's off by 10 orders of magnitude. There's no way that could be the answer. And they say, well, that's what the calculator told me. Now imagine that 100-fold with the technology that we have today with AI. If a student doesn't already have within them the education level to understand that just does not seem right, they're going to go with whatever the AI tells them, right? And that's why this is so important. Thank you for bringing that up, Eric.
Drake, if I may, if a last question, unless somebody else has a question. I don't mean to trivialize your presentation at all. It's scary. It just scares me to death. I've got 4 young grandchildren. It scares me. But on a little lighter note, how much would it cost? Let me rephrase it. If I ask AI to build a marketing plan to get more members into Rotary and I have $2,000, can I do it? And how do I get it done?
So you could do that. As Eric was bringing up, you'd have to have some knowledge beforehand before you go ahead and just implement that knowledge or that marketing plan. Because this is really great for someone who knows what they're looking for. For instance, I've had friends who they write ads. That is their business, right? And so many people have flooded the AI asking, hey, can you write an ad for me, right? But I've seen the ones who are business owners who know what they're looking for. They've made tons of money already from this, millions, just from using the AI because it simplifies their work. There's less that they have to do. They just make slight tweaks here and there. So yes, you can say, hey, here's my budget. I want to get more members into Rotary Club. Give me 6 ideas that I could implement today. And it'll give you 6 ideas. Now you have to have the discerning eye to say, this is not a good idea, or this is a good idea, right? And then once you see, hey, this is a good idea, how would I go about doing this? You could ask it, flesh this out for me. And it'll give you some step-by-step instruction as well. So yes, you can do that.
Any other questions? Drake, thank you. Great presentation.
That was a great presentation, Drake. We really appreciate that. And I have a little gift here from the club. Hold it back to the bottom so it doesn't look. So thanks again. Let's have it for Drake Pearson. And now it's time.